Hey, so here we are today, and we're going to be talking a little bit about how you can get over performance anxiety. Performance anxiety is one of those things that everybody suffers from, and it's fear of rejection. Everybody feels quite naturally that they want to belong, and when you stand up in front of a group of people and they're all looking at you, there's something deep inside us. It's not something you can really control, but it's something that you feel that people are going to reject you, that you're not going to be able to fit in. And some people seem to be able to do this very easily, and other people struggle with it. So here I'm going to suggest to you one big thing that I really don't think you should do, and then 7 small things that I think can really help you. So the one big thing I think you shouldn't do is you shouldn't turn this little problem that you have into a big deal. So whatever you do, don't go online and start looking at fear of rejection or glossophobia and then start to think about all of those things as problems, because that's really not going to help you. And I've got 7 short tips, and they're all to do with my motto, which is prepare, practice, and perform. So preparation, make sure you've got your material prepared. For example, before I started talking to you, I wrote a little list here in my book, and those are the things that I'm going to talk about. So prepare your materials in advance. Practice with somebody who's not a family member, preferably. The trouble with practicing with family members is that when they do criticize, it can be wounding. You much better off practicing with a professional colleague or a friend, and give them some boundaries for their criticism. Say, just tell me clearly what you think I could improve. You don't. You want something very specific. You don't want them to be telling you you're rubbish, for example. That's not going to help you. Okay. So something very specific. So for example, if somebody said to me, your tie, you just, if you just tied it a little bit better, you'd come across better. And on that point, I think clothing is really important. Clothing tells people a lot about you. Now, I tend to have a very casual attitude to clothing, but I want, in a public environment, to come across as professional. So I put the tie on. I put the tie on not for me, not even for you. It's so that you're not concentrating on my clothing. I want the clothing to be irrelevant. So clothing is important. The next thing that I've got in my little book is looking people in the face. It's going to help so much if you get used to looking people in the face. And you can practice this. Practice when next time you go out shopping, in every shop you go into at the supermarket, look the supermarket attendant directly in the face, and if you can, say a few words. If you don't do that already, you're going to find that makes a dramatic impact on your relationship with people, and it will also change your self-esteem and your feeling about yourself. So give that a go. When you go out in the street, try to engage directly with people, look them in the face. It's going to help you to get stronger in a position where you have a whole audience looking at you. Okay, the next thing is breathing, and breathing is important as well. Breathing is one of the major reasons that people suffer anxiety. It's because when you're in an anxious situation, you stop breathing properly. So it's no good just before you go into a public event to try to learn to breathe deeply. You need to practice beforehand. So every time you give a little talk, or you practice your little talk, you should start by practicing taking some deep breaths. So that's breathing with the diaphragm, filling your lungs, and calming yourself that way. Like everything, the more you practice, the better you're going to be at it. But breathing is something that you can practice. So the last thing that I want to talk about here is remembering positive experiences. If you remember positive experiences, that's what you want to focus on. You want to focus on the fact that you can do this. You don't want to focus on the fact that you can't. Quite often, the difference between a good performance and a bad performance is that the person who does the good performance has already imagined how successful it's going to be, and that's based on past successes. If you find that you can't remember good experiences because you're always fixating on the past, then just fantasize, just make it up. Just imagine that everything's going absolutely perfectly. If you imagine it and you run it through in your mind as though this is going to be a dramatic success, you have a much higher probability that that's going to happen. Okay, and my last point is about taking a break. Don't overdo it. So I'm going to say to you now, take regular breaks. And as I say that, that's exactly now that we're going to take a break. And I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I hope to see you next time.